Some of the points we will repeat of the morning class. Duality is the product of non-duality. For the dualist, there is duality alone for both the supreme reality and unreality. For the dualist, there is duality alone is there for both supreme reality as well as unreality. When we say duality is the product of non-duality, then a doubt may come, duality may be real in the highest sense. Then answer is given. Self undergoes modification through Maya. If the modifications are to be a reality, immortal self would tend to be mortal. So the duality is not the supreme truth. The disputants think of the very unborn self on the terms of birth, or birthless self on the terms of birth. How is immortal by nature undergoes mortality? The immortal can never become mortal. So too the mortal can never become immortal, even as fire cannot change. The last sentence. With this, the next karika will be started. The nature of substances cannot change. That he is explaining in the next karika, 21, page 426. Na bhavati amrutam matyam, na matyam amrutam tatha, prakriter anyatha bhavo, na katamchit bhavishyati. Immortal can never become mortal. The immortal can never become, the unreal can never become, or the real can never become unreal. So too, mortal can never become immortal. In the first sense, he says, the real can never become unreal. And again he says, the unreal can never become real. For change in one's nature cannot ever take place in any manner. Even in Gita it is told, yad bhavam, nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. Same thing, meaning comes also here. Na bhavati amrutam matyam, loke napi matyam amrutam tatha. In the world, the immortal cannot become mortal. Similarly, the mortal cannot become immortal. Then he says, tadha prakrutehe स्वभावस्य अन्यथा भावः स्वतः प्रचिते न कथमचित भविष्यति Agneriva Usnasya. Therefore, no modification in one's nature takes place in any manner, even as fire cannot change its nature of being hot. Its fire is having a particular nature. Wherever fire is there, it is hot only. In Puranas, we come across some of the illustrations. Vayu Sharira, Agni Sharira, like that. In particular verse, only one particular element is predominant in those bodies. Like the heaven. Heaven, here you see, this is called Matyaloka. That is, the element earth is more. Though earth is less here, 75% of the body is water, blood, etc. The rest is only earth. But earth is predominant here. Whereas in heaven, the water is predominant. The heavenly body is full of water. Just if you cool the water, it becomes ice. Ice is having a form. In the same way, all the gods are having a particular form. And those who perform spiritual injunctions to go to heaven, Tasya Purnamasaabhyam Swarga Kamo Ejeta. He goes there. And he will be having heavenly body which is full of water. And as soon as he goes there, he will be a young chap. Youngster. Teenage. Only 18. Shodasha versus 16 they say. Because here we call major after 18, but they become major by 16 itself. Until the end of the life, what is the lifespan there? The fruits that they have to enjoy. They will be only 16 years old. 16 years old.
Their body will be only 16 years.
1/6. And when the fruits are over, then what will happen? Just like ice melts and becomes water, like that the body melts. And Kshine Punyamatya Lokam Vishanti. Now there is a very long description how the individual goes to heaven, how he goes to Brahmaloka, from there how he comes back, what are the forms he takes, who carries him there, who brings, how he comes, all these discussions are there. You are telling scripture. I am Atma Brahma. What is the just telling how he goes, how he comes? Then he says, to get dispassion. These things are described. What? To get vairagya, to get dispassion, these things are described. So, here, whatever is mortal, not having, it is having death, not having the immortalness. So the immortal thing can never be the mortal, and mortal thing can never be the immortal. With this only he starts Shankara Bhashya of Brahma Sutra. The inert can never be the consciousness can never be inert. Isma Satma Pratyaya Gochare starts. The very first thing an aspirant should have, that he says in the very first book, Tattva Bodh. That is discrimination, dispassion, Samasat Sampatti. Then only he can discriminate. So, the real discrimination for the aspirant is only two things are there, real and real. The real cannot become the unreal cannot become the real. This much discrimination we have to do. What else we have to do? For that, Gaudapada Acharya is telling here, as the fire cannot be cold in the same way, the nature cannot be changed. If nature is changed, it gets destroyed. If a changing, that's why we always tell, a changing thing is not permanent. Now he is going to the other Karika 22. Swabhavena amruto yasya bhavo gacchati matyatam kritakena amrutah tasya katham stasyati nischalaha. Says, why he should start this Karika? Now here is an opponent, that he is the follower of Sankhya. He is the follower of Sankhya, Parinamavadi. Things are changing, he says. Parinamavadi means in the creation, the pradhana is creating. It is changing. That's why it's called Parinamavadi. Whereas a non-dualist is called Vivartavadi. Says, nothing changes here, only one real thing is. And other things, just illusion. Just like the magic. Juggler, he says, he creates so many things. So now he will be asking a question. The Brahman before creation, as the cause, is deathless, Amrutam. When it creates, it becomes the effect, it undergoes death. See, in the very first sentence, contradiction is there according to non-dualist. Before creation, the Brahman is not having death. So birth also is not there, all right. But after creation, it undergoes change and death, he says. The both forms, the cause is deathless in both the forms. before creation, after creation. What he says? The cause is deathless or birthless. And effect is having death. If we accept like this, then there will be no contradiction. Before creation, the cause is not having birth or death. But after creation, the effect is having death. So, he says, then we can very easily accept your non-dualism. For that, he told this stanza. Swabhavena amruto yasya bhavo gacchati matyatam kritakena amrutastasya katham stasyati nischalaha. How can the entity that is immortal remain unchanged according to one to whom a thing is immortal by nature can be born, since it is a product in his view? Now he says, Swabhavena amruta yasya bhavo. By nature it is immortal. How it becomes mortal? Gacchati matyatam. Kritakena amrutastasya katham stasyati. Everybody accepts a logic. What is that logic? At kritakam tanasya. At kritakam tadanityam. Whatever has been created, it should be destroyed. It gets destruction, rather to say. So, you are accepting the destruction. How an immortal thing can be destroyed? That he says. That which is created, that is destroyed. A thing which is not created, it cannot be destroyed. So, some of the schools of thoughts, some of the doctrines, they accept only 4 elements. They say the ether is eternal, it is real, it is immortal, it is not changing. Then they go against the scriptures. Ekmeva advitiyam is not proved. Only one thing is there. Morning, very clearly, I told the distinction between the element ether and the conscious Atman. If the ether is eternal, immortal, then by thinking of the ether, you should become immortal. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. And you say ether is everywhere. We do agree. But it is a substance, padartha, it is called. It is a substance, padartha it is called. These followers of logic, Atma Dik Manansi, 4 things, they say these are substances. That's why they are unreal. In that, they include mind and the directions and the Atman. They say it is a dravya, substance. So, It is not eternal. In that he includes Atman also. He includes. No, he says Sapta Padarthaha. Every Sapta, only 7 substances are there. That is Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samvaya, Jati. Jati is there. Jati, Samvaya, Vishesh, Abhav. So these 7 things he accepts. And what is Dravya? There are 9 are there. So, Kala, Dig, Atma, Manansi. 5 elements. And then what are the other 4 substances? Kal, time. Dig, directions. Atma, self and man. So this he has included in substances. Dravya. Dravya is element. You see, he is telling 5 elements. And then afterwards he is telling Kala, Atma, Dig, Manansi, 4. So he has put in the same line. That means it is also a substance. A substance, it can be created, it can be destroyed. So he says, the Atman is not real. The Nyaya Vaisheshika, they accept so. Whatever it may be, we are not concerned with that. Here he says, Yat Kritakam tad anityam. Whatever is created, that it has to be destroyed. Sri Krishna says, Jatasya dhruvo mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Whatever is created, it should undergo death. And whatever undergoes death again, it has to take a birth. See, if the opponent comes and says, you have created some cock and bull stories. The crow and bull, some stories. That is it. And you are telling that everything is real, Atman is real and everything is unreal. Why should I accept? He is an atheist. Atheist, how can he say that only Atman alone is real? He says the world is real. But he is not supported by the followers of logic. The atheist is not supported by the followers of logic. What is a yatkritkam tad anityam? Which is having a birth and creation, it should go to, it goes destruction, it is destroyed. So what you say is not correct. He accepts the atheist, he is not accepting the Vedas, just like the followers of communists. They don't accept no Christ, no Muhammad, no God. All these things they say. The same way the atheist also says. But the followers of logic, they say whatever is created, it undergoes destruction. That is why we say what you say is not correct. It is not real. The atheist was refuted by the followers of logic. And these followers of logic and Sankhya, they go together. Younger and elder brother. He says, you go, you tell. So what he says, he is also not accepting the Vedas. And he says, the illusion alone is that is creating. Is it not? And then it is not supported by the Vedas. And the main point of controversy is they accept many individual jivas, both the Nyaya, Vaisheshika and Sankhya. Oh, that thing is refuted by, and now he is going to tell, if you really discriminate and see, only one thing is real and whatever has been created by the illusion is unreal. That is going to tell. So,
Today in the morning you mentioned that Akasha is full of bliss.
no. Akasha is all-pervading. Atman is all-pervading, it is full of bliss. Akasha is an element. How can it be bliss?
That was exactly my
So, if Akasha is bliss, I told if Akasha is bliss, everywhere you will get bliss. But you are not getting. The illustration is given, the parable, the simile, the comparison for the Atman, only it is all-pervading. That much. And now, just now I told, according to the Vedas, you cannot accept two real things. If Akasha is bliss, Atman is two bliss things are there, blissful things. How can you accept? That's why we say it is element. But in some of the scriptures, they say, inside also ether is there, space. So much of ether outside also is there. They do say it is one. But at the same time, one is consciousness, another is matter. One is inert, another is immortal. So the differences are there. Yasya punarvadinha swabhavena amruto bhavo martyatam gacchati paramarthato jayate. Now he is translating the ideas of Sankhya. Tasya pragutpatte swabhavo amruta iti pratignya manusha eva. When the disputant you want to talk? No. The disputant holds, disputant here, Sankhya, followers of Sankhya, that the entity which is immortal by nature takes birth in real sense, not illusion. He says, takes birth in real sense. Then his proposition, what he wanted to tell, that the entity prior to its birth was immortal by nature, is in vain. Now he is refuted. If you say, before birth a thing is real, after birth it is undergoing death, then how can it be real? A thing should be real in past, present and future. An unchanging thing alone can be real. If some light change is meant, it cannot be real. Katham tarhi kritakena amrutaha tasya bhavaha. How can the product of something attain the nature of immortality? You are telling the product. It has been created. Yat kritakam tadanityam. That is, see, these followers of logic, they are telling, whatever is made, it undergoes destruction. Whatever has been created, it undergoes destruction. Yat kritakam tadanityam. And he says, before creation, it is real, and after creation, it is undergoing death. So this also should be real. Why don't you accept this as real? That is his point of controversy. How? Then that's why the proponent is asking, how can the product of something attain the nature of immortality? Katham tarhi kritakena amrutah tasya bhavaha. Kritakena amrutah sa katham stasyati nischalo amruta swabhava tatha na kathanchit stasyati atmajativadinah sarvada ajam nama nasti eva sarvam etan matyam. The meaning is that it cannot remain so in any manner. For one who argues that self has birth, there can be nothing called unborn at any time. They are telling the self is having birth. So, then what they have to, that everything is taking birth? There can be nothing called unborn at any time. For all, this is mortal according to him. Hence, the drift is that according to this view, no liberation is possible. If everything is mortal, the liberation is the immortality we say, or the mortal being attains immortality in this sense, he becomes one with the real thing. That we call as the bliss, and we call bliss absolute. Then if you can say, I never found that one. I don't know. This you cannot tell as a human being. Ahar ahar brahma gamayati. This Sriti says everybody is taken to that bliss every day. And everybody explains, how can he say, there is no God, I don't know bliss, I have not seen. He cannot say. Because everybody is taken to the bliss which he is enjoying in the sleep. That is a sample. It is previously told 0.0001%. The bliss which you are enjoying in the sleeping state is 0.0001% point. First point comes, then 4, 5 zeros comes, then 1 comes. That much percent. Then the 1 will be the absolute, the bliss. Now how much it is, how many times it is bigger than this bliss? Is more that you can imagine. That we call the real Atman, because we just go to that and come back daily. So we are having the sample with us. Now, in olden days, There was a king by name Shivaji. You might have heard. So he was having a reptile. Reptile, you know, bigger than this lizard. Big lizard, you can say. Reptile. Huh? 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 It's a big reptile. What actually they call in English, I don't know. It is a big reptile. So, whenever he wanted to go and win over other countries, he has to enter into their fort. How he will go? So he used to take that reptile with him and a little honey he just puts on this mouth and leaves on the wall. Big wall of the fort, 20 feet, 30 feet, 25 feet. So this reptile, it just climbs, taking the smell of the honey. It goes slowly. And when once it is catching the wall, it will not leave. It is in the hands. See, some air is there. It just moves and vacuum, creates vacuum, so it sticks. Now what this king used to do, he used to tie a rope for that. And it slowly goes above and he used to climb and enter the other's forts. So there the reptile got a little smell of honey. A tank of honey is there above. So here what God did, a little honey He has given to you in your sleep. So those who are really discriminative, they wanted that the perpetual honey, absolute bliss. Not everybody. The very first quality should have discrimination. What is real and what is unreal. That alone is real, that alone is bliss. But here what he says, hence the drift is that according to this view, no liberation is possible. According to the Sankhyas. Why? They say, before creation the thing is real, but after creating it undergoes death. First, even before creation the cause becomes effect, it says. Even before creation the cause becomes the effect. It is having birth, so it undergoes death. After creation, he says it is having a birth, so it undergoes death. This is the opponent's view, Sankhya. If it is having birth, so it undergoes death. So what you say, that only everything is real, is not correct. Opponent says. Proponent says, what you say is not correct. Now how to decide? The opponent says, a thing is having birth, so it undergoes death. And what proponent says, no, you are not correct. Why? It is not taking any birth. You just see because of ignorance that it has taken birth. It is your imagination. And our statement is supported by scriptures as well as logic. So we are correct. That the proponent says. How it will be correct? And then the proponent is asking, how it will be Kayat Tadanityam? Whatever is created, it undergoes death. So how can it be the real? So the logic that the followers of logic, they take that if you apply here, your statement is not correct. Kritikena amrutaha tasya katham stasyati nischalaha. That which has been created, how can it stay a stable thing? And since it is a product, how can it be mortal? In dissolution, he says it is deathless because not changing is deathlessness. If we accept, so what? Now again is coming the opponent. In dissolution, because you say in dissolution it is undergoing death, that is why it is not immortal, you are telling. Now I change my idea. What is your idea? He says, because not changing in death, if we accept, so what? Then he says, you told it undergoes creation, it undergoes birth, it has taken a birth. So whichever it takes birth, it undergoes death. So even then, what you say is not correct. Yat krotakam tadanitya. Whatever is created, it is pervaded by death. In worldly relative state only effect is there. Now, see, in the relative state only effect is there. We are, according to the opponent, he says, in the relative plane we are seeing the effect. So effect alone is there. If we say if it is real, then what is your argument? Then he says, all right, we just pat your back. We do agree. We say only one thing, then you will never get liberation. That is our statement. He says, you will never get liberation. Why? Ajam brahmasmi iti jnana bhavat. I am the birthless Brahman. This knowledge you will never get. Why? Because you are accepting the effect as real. We are telling the effect as illusion or delusion, and it is imagination, but you say, no, it is real. All right. Go ahead. No release for you. We are not. Atma. Atma jativadina sarvada ajam nama nasteva. So if you say there is nothing like a Atman which is not having birth, ajam, sarvam etan matyam, everything is possessed of death, ato nirmoksha prasanga itabhiprayaha. When the disputant holds that the entity which is immortal by nature takes birth in real sense, this we have to note, takes birth in real sense, then The proposition what you want to tell, that the entity prior to its birth was immortal. By nature is in vain. Immortal by nature is in vain. If you say it takes birth, birth is real, and another statement what you are telling, prior to birth it was immortal, so this will not hold good. How can the product of something attain the natures of immortality? Taking birth, it has become the product. So it can never be immortal, since it is a product. How can it remain unchanging and immortal by nature? Being a product. The meaning is that it cannot remain so in any manner. For one who argues that the self has birth, there can be nothing called unborn at any time. For all this is mortal according to him. Hence, the drift is that according to this view, no liberation is possible. Again he is coming forward. Nanu ajativadinaha sushti pratipadika sutirna sangachate pramanyam. Now, the Gaudapada Acharya is ajatavadi. Nothing has been created. So, from their view, how you tell about the creation? Sushti pratipadika sutir. You are telling creation, and at the same time it is not taking birth. So, you are not correct. Again he says. So, it is not reasonable. Na sangachite is not reasonable. The Parinamavada, according to him, the creation should be accepted. He says, creation should be accepted. That is refuted. How? Bhutato abhutato vapi srijyamane samasritihi nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yat tad bhavati netara. The Sriti favors equally the creation in reality and through Maya. We do accept the creation, but it is through illusion. That which is settled by the Sriti and supported by reasoning is true and not anything else. That which is settled by the Sriti and supported by reasoning is true and not anything else. Now, for a man of intellect, he need not simply accept blindly having faith in Sritis. Because Sriti told, he can reason with his intellect and can conclude and come to the same meaning of the Sriti. So, in Gita, he says, the devotee always depends on me, but the man of knowledge never depends on anybody. Why? He is having the reasoning. He reasons and concludes what Shruti says, and says only oneness is there. When oneness is there, what necessary is to accept somebody else? Is that? That he is telling here, that which is settled by the Sriti and supported by reasoning of an intellectual individual, that it is true and not anything else. So, He says, you need not go anywhere. No pilgrimage centers, no sightseeing. Simply sit in your room and meditate and realize. By the very intellectual knowledge. Is it not? Previously also we discussed knowledge. Those who are having this knowledge, they can say by the very support of the knowledge, they can easily overlook the whole universe. In the beginning of the Brihadaranyaka, Shankaracharya says, those who can kick out the enjoyments of this world as well as the other worlds, they are eligible to come and hear Vedanta, he says. They should have that mental strength, that much of dispassion, he says. So, knowledge, by the very knowledge, he discriminates and simply says, the world is unreal. When the world, he concludes the world is unreal, in that world, he includes his body, mind and senses also, not separating. I am Brahman, I am Atman, you are Brahman, I am you, you, I, not like that. No two things are there. When he says everything is unreal, this is also unreal. Only one thing is there. Even in Sankhya or even in Advaita, the process of creation is same. The scriptures say non-dualism, which logic also agrees. So, we have to accept non-dualism. Scriptures say monism with proof and logic, and also supports only non-dualism. So, that alone should be accepted. Nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yat tad bhavati netarat. That is told in Karika. That which is settled by the Sruti, supported by reasoning, is true and not anything else. Nishchitam. Nanu. Now, nanu means, the Sanskrit word nanu, that means an opponent has already entered. He wants to put a question. Ajativadina sushti pratipadika sutirna sangachyate pramanyam. The Shruti that speaks of creation cannot be accepted as valid proof by one who holds that the self is not born. This is the opponent. If the Atman is transforming into effect, the scripture telling creation is not correct. The very first word he has used is not correct. What he says? If the Atman is transforming into effect, the scripture talking creation or telling about creation is not correct. He has already accepted a change in the real thing. Then it undergoes destruction. And again what he says, what you are telling is not correct. Scriptures. Not giving correct meaning is not correct means what scripture says is not correct. Then the proponent says, yes, we do accept the scriptures telling about the creation, bhadam. Vidyate sushti pradipadika sutihi satu anyapara. We do accept the scripture has told about the creation, but the meaning is not in creation. To negate it, to tell the unreality, that is the meaning. That it is translating the unreal creation. It is just translating. What happens? All the individuals, they are accepting the creation. They accept it as real. So, first what they accept, that we have to translate. For that creation has been told. And afterwards, the scripture negates the creation. So, in the beginning also he told, the process of negation is necessary because most of the people, they accept creation. It is translating the unreal creation. Then he asks, how it is logical? Satu, he says, satu anyapara, to tell something else. How the scriptures prove non-duality when they tell about creation? That is another question he is putting. How the scriptures prove the non-duality when they tell about creation? Upayaso avataraya ityavochama. In the very 15th karika of this present chapter, we have already told. The creation is a means to realize the oneness. This we have already told. Idanim uktepi parihare punaschodya pariharo vivakshitartham prati. He have already described in 15th karika, the creation is a means to realize. And why agar you are telling here? The opponent asks. Then he gives the answer. If the creation telling in the scriptures are meant for realizing the non-dualism, that has been answered. What for repetition? Then he says, idani muktepi parihare punaschodya pariharo vivakshitartham. Somebody may get the doubt. Those scriptures are telling that the creation is unreal, but at times they may get the doubt that creation is, what the scripture is telling is not correct. They may get some doubt like that. That we want to remove. The words explain the creation as unreal or not reasonable. That is the question. This doubt may arise. That much will be refuted now. That much will be refuted now. Bhutataha. Through the bhutato, abhutato, that is main this thing. Again, the commentary will be coming. Now I will read the English portion. It is true that there is this Sriti that describes creation, but its purpose is different. We have already said that it is just a means to reveal the idea of identity in 15th Karika, though the objection was already replied to. It is brought here once again and refuted so that all such doubts as to whether the Shruti is speaking of creation favor or oppose the topic that is going to be discussed may be declared. That the subcommentator clears. A doubt may arise what scripture is telling is correct or not. That doubt we wanted to clear. Then he says, Lord Vishnu says to Narada, Maya hesha maya srishta yanmam pashyati Narada sarva bhuta gunair yuktam naivam mam mantum arhasi. Naivam mam mantum arhasi. This very creation and this illusion of mind, what you are seeing, sarva bhuta gunair yuktaha. It is having all the qualities. And you cannot meditate on that. What? Maya. That my Maya is so powerful, you cannot understand. He is telling to Narada. Once Narada was asked to show him Maya. Arjuna asked, he was shown. And Brahma was deluded. Sati was deluded. Even the Garuda. Markandeya, in Markandeya Purana it comes. I wanted to see the creation. Markandeya Purana, Markandeya, and the Garuda. They are all serving God, staying with Him, chanting always, meditating, even then deluded. That's why he says, Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. So at least some hope he is giving. That my delusion is so powerful. You cannot understand. But at least in Gita he says, Mameva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. Those who see the oneness, those who experience the oneness, they overcome this illusion. Like this, tat tejo asrujata, that also has been told. Here, just for a change, Mantu, one word has come. Mantu. In the sloka, it is. Actually, only this particular word is connected with the story, but no other connection. Only this particular word is connected because I remember there was a school and the teacher was teaching all the students. What he was teaching? They are all these staying towards Himalayas, you see, and they don't know the English, A, B, C, they don't know. So he says, A, auntie, A. So whenever you say auntie, you can say A, and that is the letter A. Like that, he was for every letter, he was giving the name which they know. So that day lessons were over. Up to M, Mantu or Mantu, somebody's name. Yes, start. Next day, the inspector has come to visit the school. And he wrote, what you are doing? We are learning the letters. All right. He told W, he put on the board. And the teacher has not told. Up to M only he taught. Auntie, Kanti, Mantu, Pantu, something he told. And he asked about W. And then he asked, can anybody tell? Yes, I can tell. One student got up. What is that? You see, it is in the local village, the Mantu is the name of one of the boys' mother. Mantu is the mother of one of the boys. So he says, it is only the Mantu, the mother of such and such a boy, mother, but she is standing upside down. She is putting her legs up and doing some Sishasana, something he said. What is this? Mother of Mantu standing, doing Sishasana. Connected to this, you see, there was a blind man. And another fellow went and told, you see, today I have taken kheer, the pudding, which is made out of. Then he told, what is kheer? You see, it is white like a crane. And he asked, what is a crane? Then he puts the hands like this. The crane. So this is Brahman. So, explaining the kheer, what he did for a blind man, he showed his hand. That cannot be the kheer. In the same way, most of the people, while explaining Brahman, they make so many mistakes. This is just because Mantu, I remembered a story. What they explain, they cannot explain, you see. Brahman they cannot explain. So they have to take the support of scriptures as well as logic. Otherwise they cannot explain. But so many branches are there, so many doctrines are there, they think something, and the followers are more blind. They just follow, like the sheep, they follow. The one sheep, if it does something, all other also do the same thing like that. Tat tejo asrijita, the same as Narada, for Narada. He says, you cannot understand my Maya, that he says. And like that, many scriptures are there. In all the scriptures, the meaning is like, Devadatta Vyagro Abhavat, he says. A particular man is there, huh? And he has become the tiger. How can a man become the tiger? So all the scriptures that tell about the creation is something like that. A man cannot be the tiger, the creation cannot be real. That he concludes. No truth is this. Even creation is from illusion. It is reasonable. Then the opponent is giving another argument. Gauna mukhyor mukhyo sampratyaha. Taking support of this logic, he says, even it is translated, if it is held that it is reasonable to take a word in its primary sense, says not the full meaning, take a word in the primary sense, when there is a primary sense as well as the secondary sense in which it could be used, then he says it is not correct. If you take the word in the primary meaning, it is not correct. So that he is coming to this place. Gauna mukhyor mukhyo sampratyaha. Nanu. Now he says, bhutatah paramarthata sujyamano vastuni abhutato mayava mayavineva iva mayavinaiva sujyamano vastuni samatulya srishti srutihi. These Shrutis speaking of creation are equally favorable in respect of an object really created or created through illusion as is done by a juggler, by a magician. This the proponent told. For that, now the opponent is raising the objection that we will do tomorrow. From the beginning we can do.